Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be looking into the story post by lolpwned, men who have sold or donated sperm, and given permission for the child to contact you at 18. What is your story? First, my younger bro donated multiple times unbeknownst to me. Years later, my wife and I did Ancestry.com to get an idea of how diverse our backgrounds were, and wham! Started getting contacted by lots of people, over a dozen, saying that we were close relatives. At first I was confused and asked the early ones about their parentage. They all had similar stories. Single mom went to a sperm bank. It didn't take me long to guess what happened. I called my brothers and asked. The younger one fessed up and said yes. He went multiple times. In fact, they told him he had to stop donating because there was a statistical probability his progeny could meet and date. At least they seemed ethical. I asked if it was okay if I gave them his contact, and he was fine with it. The weird thing is that they all had his face. Like, one look at them and it was obvious who their father was. Anyway, this went on for a couple of years and they all connected with one another. It seems there is over 20 now, probably more. He has met a couple of them, but it was all casual. The whole thing is super weird to the rest of the family to have all of these close relatives who somehow are part of the family, but then again, not really. My 4 Cats adds, legally no. Donating sperm through a clinic absolves the father of any legal claim on the child. It would be like a child being given up for adoption. A child who has been adopted by someone else has no claim on their biological parent's estate. That's why you always go through a clinic. If a couple or a single woman wants a child, she should not have her friend come leave a deposit in a cup. He could petition for custody. He could also be on the hook for child support of the woman claimed and state financial benefit for hardship. If the woman claimed. Got it. My name is not. Adds, as a donor-conceived child who has a great relationship with my donor dad, it's very interesting to see your perspective. His wife's family has been so excited to meet me, but the donor's mother, father, and younger brother have not extended any invitations. It doesn't bother me at all, to be honest. It's a weird situation to navigate. Easy Grab adds, I would be happy to have a relationship with any of them, my siblings included, especially my sister who couldn't have kids. But except for 1 or 2 of them, most have not sought out a relationship, only asked questions. I'm sure it feels weird for them too, and perhaps sensitive to their moms. Status Recognition 2 adds, is there any way you can have your sibling DNA not traced back to you if one of them took a genetic test? And Erythru answers, yeah, sort of. Don't take a DNA test and then don't give out your DNA by having children. Unfortunately, people can still piece together a family tree without your DNA, as long as they have someone's DNA from your family. Side note here, DNA is close enough from a family that you could like hypothesize that a DNA sample you don't have exists of a father just by having the son or mother or another part of the family's DNA. It's possible to like know someone exists and know that a DNA exists even if you don't have it, just by finding the other familial members with it. Moving on. Sunny Silver 8 adds, I'm a child born via sperm donation. At one point in my life, I did loads of research to find him. I also did Ancestry and found some half-siblings, but no donor. But I thought about it more and looked over the records I did have from the donor company, and he was a college student at the time and asked not to be contacted. He probably has a family now who may or may not know about his past donation, and my gut feeling is that he did it for the money. So I've decided to let it go. MechBean adds, oh, that's really sad. Have you contacted any of your half-siblings? If any of them end up contacting your biological father, they might let you know if he's interested in meeting. Plus, getting to know your step-siblings might be pretty cool. Good luck with whatever you choose to do, though. Croyder adds, I donated for 6 months in university, twice a week. I gave consent to be contacted. That was close to 20 years ago now. I did call and ask once, and they said my sperm resulted in 24 successful pregnancies. That was all the office could tell me. I have not done 23andMe or anything like that. That's quite crazy. You have 24 children as far as the spiraling coil of DNA goes. They've all got half or full siblings they don't even know about. Well, the full ones know. That's really crazy. In 1,000 years, you might be the Genghis Khan, where your DNA is traced to like 1 in 3 people on Mars or something. The DNA analysis will just show you, not the fact that you are a donor. Motor City Maid adds, swoon. No wonder. I'm an engineer, female, with health issues, childhood diabetic, who considered an egg donator, but there was no one sciencey for me. Hubby is artistic, and I couldn't take more than 50% of that crazy artistic shit. Lol. In the end, we were made child-free, and that was the best choice for us. Rizzo adds, it's weird to me that future dating will possibly require some type of genetic testing to eliminate romantic relationships between potential siblings. One step closer to Gattaca. I can't help but think that one slimy doctor who has supplemented his own specimens and sired some ridiculous number of children, into the hundreds. I remember reading about that when all the families found out about it, and they asked the lawyer, like, how do we raise this kid now? And the lawyer told them to move. Hapless and Hopeful adds, hi, I'm a DC child myself. It's very likely that your offspring have no idea that they are donor conceived. I only found out when I DNA tested in my early 20s. The same happened to my best friend and 2 of my half-sisters. Mostly Gray responds, awesome dude, good work. I had too many congenital issues to donate, CAH carrier. My brother had a similar problem, although he's in great shape. He failed the mental check, heritable issue. My brother's buddy made bank during college donating. Apparently he was superhuman. He didn't give consent to know. Too many donations. He didn't want to know. He might have 300 kids out there. The man was apparently a stallion. He donated like it was his full-time employment. My name adds, I was donor conceived. I took a DNA test. His natural-born daughter took a DNA test. So really, neither of us gave permission. There are 28 siblings so far. It was quite a shock. I wasn't expecting it and didn't know. I was 38. I've met the donor and most of the half-siblings. He's a cool guy. I think it's eerie how I see many of my mannerisms in him and the other siblings. I know there is a wide range of emotions for people who experience this sort of thing, but for me, it was generally positive. It is incredible how the similarities are passed down. My father-in-law had a daughter that was the result of a one-night stand and was adopted by a wonderful family. The adoption agency had a registration of birth parents and kids, who could each, blind to the other, give permission to be contacted, and only if both parties did, they would put them in a contact. So this happens in early 20s, and they make arrangements for her to fly and meet her birth family, including my wife and her brother, her half-siblings. My wife goes to pick her up at the airport since the parents live out of town. There were no arguments, no arrangements, no pictures, nothing. My wife saw her come out the doors, knew without question it was her, and she knew the same, and they had a huge tearful hug without even any words. They just knew by looks, by mannerisms, whatever. The incredible thing is, I've shown pictures of the half-sister, with or without her birth father and half-sister, and everyone agrees she doesn't actually look much like them. But there's something about the looks and how they act so similar between all of them. It really is incredible. No reason all the siblings have to be from donors. Also, no reason to expect a clinic to follow any guidelines. I mean, there was that one with the dude using his own semen. A story so crazy I've seen it in like 6 different television procedurals using that premise to some degree. Gluter adds, I'm not donor conceived, but my dad hasn't played a large role in my life. And it's weird for me to see how similar he and I are, despite only seeing each other a few days a year since I was a kid. The ethics of these clinics are super murky, in my opinion, adds Reali29. I'm donor conceived, but 100% anonymous. None of the you can choose to contact at 18 stuff. An inkling of me wants to do an ancestry test out of pure curiosity, but I also feel like I could be violating the donor's wish for privacy by doing so. There's no way that he could have foreseen at-home genetics becoming a thing 20 or 30 years later. But at the same time, if he wants privacy, he probably wouldn't take an ancestry test, whereas I could have potential half-siblings out there who do want to meet. Duke Droop Drop adds, it's kind of the exact opposite for me, but my wife donated eggs in college. She was my girlfriend at the time. We had to stop all sexy shenanigans while I was giving her shots to increase egg production. She donated several eggs, and we never heard if any of them worked. We were supposed to be informed, so when we weren't, we assumed the worst. Fast forward 17 years, and the guy we donated to gets in touch, and surprise, my wife has a clone. Now, they have a great relationship, chatting and watching shows online nearly every night. It was funny telling all of our friends that my wife had a long-lost daughter, lots of quizzical dog looks. Our kids now have a new big sister who will be staying with us for a few months this summer. Many thanks for my first Reddit awards. If I'd known what glory I'd receive for injecting ovulation hormones into my wife's ass, I might have been a little bit less squeamish about it. Big bada boom ads! I donated eggs when I was 23. No reason, just thought it might help someone. I had a baby a couple years before. My son is now turning 14, so I knew my eggs were good. All the harvested eggs, 10 to 12 if I remember correctly, were given to one couple, and they did 2 cycles, but unfortunately, neither was successful. They did still have more eggs left, but I suppose the treatments are incredibly painful emotionally to go through, and they didn't want to go through with it for a 3rd time. I really would have loved for them to succeed. I trust that any person willing to go through all that would have done absolutely everything to be the best possible parent to a child. I'm rather sad that I was unable to help the couple. If it had been different, I would have liked it if the child would have reached out. It would have been an awesome adventure to get to know them a little bit. Danny Rhino adds, I also donated eggs twice and often think about those kids. One couple had 1 child and the other had twins. I often wonder how those 3 mini-me's in Oregon are doing. I think I might try a 23andMe test after my kids are grown. It might be interesting. When I think about it now, I bet we would have constantly been thinking about her had we known, wondering the exact same things. How is she doing? Is she happy? Etc. Maybe not so much while we were college kids, but definitely after having kids of our own. It would have been frustrating, so I think we'd definitely pursue something like 23andMe to potentially get in touch. Good luck to you if or when you try. Breadward adds, I'm adopted, and my closest match on Ancestry tried to extort me for $5,000 to give me information about my biological siblings. I refused, and I still can't find them. Since I got a lot of messages about this stuff, and I uploaded a screenshot of her comments. To add some additional context, my birth mother doesn't want to meet, so I've been attempting to gather information about my siblings, who were also adopted in a closed adoption. Rather than share any information she had about my siblings, she offered to give me my mother's name for $5,000, or $5,000, against my mother's wishes as well, and then called me a dumbass when I refused. I reached out through the adoption agency when I was 18 to attempt to contact my mother, and she communicated at the time that she did not want to contact me. I know that this person is actually related to me and my mother because of DNA testing and because of the information that my cousin would only know if she were in contact with my mother. Shanthiri adds, at my job, we did a media interview with a guy who donated sperm at least once a month for the money throughout most of his 20s, nearly for 10 years. He recently found out that there is a Facebook group with over 100 women from all over the world that have had his children from his donated sperm. This was an interview about his whole story, not a job interview, where it just came up. It was for an internal video made for TV executives and writers to potentially create a TV show based off of his story. Dagger Moth adds, there's a sperm donor suing the company because they used his sperm so much and in such a concentrated area that they are afraid of accidental inbreeding. It was over 30 children that they know about. In 23andMe subreddit, some dude found out his girlfriend of 51 or 51 years was actually his sister. Both were sperm donor babies. Oh, that's a wrench in the face, isn't it? Alright everybody, if you like this kind of content, please do one of the following. Reach out to us, subscribe, comment below, or watch another one of our videos. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao!